Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 16. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Sri Sri Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, verse 16. Na shato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtvantaste ananyos tattvadarshibhi. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtvantastu ananyos tattvadarshibhi. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtvantastu ananyos tattvadarshibhi. Na, never. Asata, of the non-existent. Vidyate, there is. Bhava, endurance. Na, never. Abhavaha, changing quality. Vidyate, there is. Shataha, of the eternal. Ubayo, of the two. Api, verily. Drishta, observed. Antaha, conclusion. Tu, but. Ananyo, of them. Tattva, truth. Darshibihi, by the seers. Translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existence there is no cessation. This seers are concluded by studying the nature of both. Purport. There is no endurance in a changing body. That the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells is admitted by modern medical science, and thus growth and old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing, and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and personalist. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminating spiritual existence. Jyotimsi Vishnur Bhavanani Vishnu. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. This is the version of all seers of the truth. This is the beginning of the instructions by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself, the difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras, as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the Supreme Nature, as will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic is accepted as a supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as a subordinate. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as is the cause of the master and the servant, of the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubayorapi drishtantas tu ananyos tattvadarshibhihi. So in this purport, Prabhupada comments that this is the beginning of Krishna teaching the science of spiritual life to us through the medium of Arjuna. Later on in the 7th chapter, Krishna describes that there are two energies, the material energy and the spiritual energy. Here in this verse, Krishna states that if you study all seekers of the truth, not only seekers of the truth, but seers of the truth, those who have been realized, those who have come to the realization of understanding the spiritual nature. If you study their teachings, you see that they all have one conclusion. And the conclusion is that of that which is temporary, there is no existence, there is no endurance, because it is temporary. And of that which is eternal, there is no cessation, there is no destruction. So there are two forces at play. We do not say, Krishna doesn't say, and Vedanta philosophy doesn't say that the world is illusion. No, the world is being manifested from the reality of the Supreme Lord, therefore it is also real. The only difference is that the material world is a temporary manifestation. It is manifested for some time and it is withdrawn for some time. Therefore it is always changing. We speak of Jagat, of the material universe, as something which is always moving. Just like my body, it is always changing. Here in the purport, Prabhupada comments that even medical science understands and teaches that the cells in the body are always changing. I have heard that every 7 years, every cell in our body, and there are millions of cells in our body, but every single one of our cells is changed into a new cell. Therefore, the body continuously changes. And, of course, earlier on, Krishna described to Arjuna that the body is always changing. It is not so important. It is not going to be here. And no matter what you do, you cannot stop that change. So, dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara. That the body is going through the phases of childhood, youth, and old age. Tata dehantara praptir. And when he becomes old and useless, he gets another body. And those who are seers of the truth, they understand this very clearly and they become dhiras. They are not disturbed by the moving show of the material world. They do not, how do they do this? They do this by not identifying with matter. They do this by understanding that since I am not the body, since I am spirit soul, the body is only a vehicle through which I can satisfy certain desires. But since I am not the body, my desire is to increase the knowledge about myself, is to give benefit to me, to the spirit, not to the body. So I don't spend my time unnecessarily trying to maintain the body, which is bound to be destroyed. I don't do that. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya. Just like when clothes become old. So vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani anyati tata parani. That when the clothes become old and dirty, I get new clothes. So in the same way, when the body becomes useless and no more of practice to me, I get another body. Later on in the 7th chapter, as mentioned in the purport of Prabhupada, Krishna explains what the two natures of the material world are. The one nature, which is temporary and which does not endure, which is always changing, Krishna he calls it the Binna Prakriti, or his external energy. And what is that? Bhumir apo nalo vayu kam mano buddhirevacha ahankara mitiyame Binna Prakriti ashtada. Krishna says this Binna Prakriti, or these external elements, are 8, ashtada. Bhumi, earth, apo, water, analo, air, vayu, air, analo, fire, mind, intelligence, and ego, mana, buddhi, ahankara. These 8 elements are temporary. They come and they go. Then Krishna says, apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param. But you should know, vidime, know from me, that there is a param, an energy which is superior. Apareyamitastu anyam prakritim vidime param. What is this? Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. And this superior energy, the superior energy is the living entity. In other words, the living entity, me, you, aham. This living entity belongs to the superior energy. It doesn't become destroyed when the body is destroyed. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body becomes destroyed, we do not become destroyed. The material body dies, the physical body, but the subtle body, made of mind, intelligence, and ego, takes the living entity into another body according to his consciousness. If we come to the moment of death, understanding our relationship with Krishna, understanding Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord, then we do not take another material birth. If we understand our relationship with God and come to the moment of death with a desire to be with God, if we have practiced that desire during this life, if we have practiced serving God in this life, that service to God will continue in the next life. And since service to God is our eternal, transcendental position, we do not acquire a material body, because service to Krishna is done on a spiritual platform. Anything connected with Krishna becomes spiritualized. Just like anything connected with fire becomes fire. Krishna is like a huge fire. Anything you put in that fire will be burnt. There is no material energy that is bigger than the fire of Krishna. There is no material creation, there is no material activity, there is no material reaction that cannot be burnt up into the fire of Krishna, because Krishna is unlimited. There is no limit to his power. Therefore, when you revolve or reverse your activities in Krishna, then your body becomes spiritualized. It is no longer acting material. Just like if you take a rod of iron and you put it in a fire, gradually it heats up, it becomes hot, the iron becomes red hot, and then it acts like fire. You take this red hot iron rod and you touch it to anything, it will make it burn. So in the same way, if iron can be made into fire on a material platform, so the iron of our blunt senses, of our material senses, when they are put into the fire of Krishna, they become fire, they become Krishnized. Therefore, the purpose of life, the perfection of life, is to utilize everything in connection with Krishna. I was listening today to a lecture of Prabhupada, and he was speaking about the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And he was saying, he was quoting the first two verses of the Bhagavad Gita, where Duryodhana, the prince of the Kurus, was listing all the different warriors that were present on the battlefield. So Prabhupada was saying, what is the point? Why does the Bhagavad Gita contain the names of all these great warriors? Chaitanya, Drupada, Bhima, so many warriors are mentioned there. And Prabhupada points out that the reason that these warriors are important is because they are connected to Krishna. Because Krishna is there. Because Krishna is present on the battlefield, then the whole battlefield becomes spiritualized. Therefore it is Dharmakshetra. That piece of land called Kurukshetra is called Dharmakshetra. It has become a place of pilgrimage. It has become a place of spirituality. And what does the spirituality mean? It becomes a place where, because of Krishna's presence, everybody there became emancipated. Everyone who died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra achieved at least Sarupya Mukti, which is a liberation of having the same body as Krishna in Vaikuntha. In other words, everyone who died in the presence of Krishna became liberated and went back to his original position in the spiritual kingdom. And each one of us has an eternal relationship with Krishna. So all those who died on that battlefield of Kurukshetra attained that position. And many, many people died. 640 crores. That's like 64 million people, warriors, died on that battlefield. And only the 5 Pandavas and a few others came out alive. In fact, before the battle, when Arjuna was arguing with Krishna that why should I fight? I don't want to kill my relatives, my friends. I don't want to have to kill anyone to gain a material kingdom. I can live by begging. I can live in the forest. In fact, he had just lived for 12 years in the forest with his brothers and mother and wife. 12 years they lived simply going from forest to forest, living under the trees or in the ashrams of sadhus. So Arjuna said, I've already done it for 12 years. It's a wonderful, easy life. I can carry on. I do not need a kingdom. I do not need to fight. But Krishna pointed out, the reason that you should fight is because I want you to fight. You claim to be my devotee. You claim to be my servant. I accept you as my devotee and my servant. In fact, you have been my devotee and my servant for many, 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 many lives in the past. And the reason you should fight is because I want you to fight. If you are really my servant, if you're really my devotee, then do what I tell you, fight. And be assured, whether you fight or don't fight, nobody is coming out of this battle alive. Everybody will die. Except you and your brothers, everybody will die. Therefore, the result cannot be changed. But if you fight, you can get the glory of the result. But if you don't fight, that result will always be there. So in the same way, Krishna does not require us to engage in his service. It is up to us. Krishna is Atmarama. Atmarama means he's self-sufficient. He has all the beauty, all the strength, all the knowledge, all the wealth, all the fame, and all the renunciations. These are wonderful opulences, to be rich, powerful, beautiful, knowledgeable, famous. These are wonderful material qualities. And the more of these qualities you have, the more you become attracted to others. Because everybody is after these qualities. You find me anyone who doesn't want to be beautiful, doesn't want to be powerful, doesn't want to be famous, doesn't want to be rich, doesn't want to be renounced. Everybody is looking for these things, night and day. And the more of these qualities you have, the more attractive you become. Now, the definition of Bhagavan, definition of God, is Bhagavan. These qualities, beauty, knowledge, wealth, strength, fame, and renunciation, are called Bhaga, or opulences. And Van means one who possesses. So the Bhagavan, the definition of God, is one who possesses all these qualities to an unlimited degree. In the material world, someone may be rich and someone may be beautiful, but it is a temporary situation. But Krishna, God, is eternally complete with all these powers. Therefore, he is called Bhagavan. And when we associate with Krishna, we also perfect our powers in relationship with him. If you study Krishna's pastimes, in Vrindavan, when he appeared as a small child and he grew up as a youth, which is called Kaishora stage, He never grows older than 16. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was more than 100 years old. He had great-grandchildren. But he looked like a youth of 16 years old. He doesn't become old. He doesn't become poor. Nobody can defeat him. He doesn't become weak. He doesn't become forgotten. Everybody remembers him. Thousands of years ago, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Still today we repeat it. In the Puranas, in the Vedas, there's so many histories going back millions and billions and trillions of years, going back to previous universal creations. And Krishna is in the middle of all those stories, so he never becomes old. No one can defeat him. No one can have as much opulence as he has. And that's the difference between Krishna and the living entity. That all of those Krishna's qualities, as is explained here, na asato vidyate bhavo, that what is disconnected from Krishna doesn't remain. It keeps changing, keeps moving. And what is connected with Krishna doesn't change, always remains. Now we all are looking for a platform. We are looking for a foundation for our life. This life, we start as children. We try to build this life as human beings. We have a wonderful facility. But whatever we build comes crumbling down because a foundation isn't there. Even as a young man, as a teenager, I couldn't understand. I went to a very good school and I was expected to go to university and become a professional, but I could see that my friends, whose fathers were professionals, were lawyers or doctors or engineers, they weren't happy. And I was thinking, and what is the point? I dedicate my life to building some profession, to building some position, but then I have to lose it all when I die. It didn't make sense to me, even though I was a teenager and not very experienced. At least I was blessed by Krishna to distrust this material universe, this material position, because there is no foundation. The first thing, if you build a house or a building, you make the foundation. Without the foundation, the building cannot exist. So the foundation is given to us by spiritual consciousness. The foundation of life begins by understanding I am spirit. Krishna says, within your heart, the supreme controller is sitting. Krishna is there as the Parameshwara, or the supreme controller. You simply go into your heart and you surrender to him. Tam eva sharanam gacha. Go and surrender to him. Sarva bhavena bharata. Under all circumstances. And what is the result of this acceptance of the Supreme Lord in your heart? What is the result of approaching this Lord in a humble frame of mind, thinking oneself as an eternal servant of God? Sthanam prapsyasi sashvatam, Krishna says. By doing that, you become peaceful. You get the foundation, the sthanam. Sthanam means foundation. By Krishna's mercy, you get the foundation. And that foundation is ashashvatam. It doesn't break. Even at the moment of death, when the foundation of the body finishes, the foundation of your spiritual body, of your subtle body, the foundation within your mind, intelligence, and ego, that doesn't change from understanding his eternal relationship with Krishna. And therefore, you become transferred from the no foundation of the material world to the foundation of the spiritual world. You don't take another birth. And this is the perfection of life. Thank you very much. So, I see there is no comments. Maybe there is something wrong with the what do you call him in again? The permissions for this page. In any case, I will close this down and I will go to my website and see if there is any comments there. Otherwise, I'll see you on Friday again. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.